Okay, stop what you're doing. Stop looking at the Instagram reel. Seriously, just for a second.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
You do, right.
Yeah.
You're looking at that hypersaturated neon turquoise water. You're seeing the imported white sand, the little wooden walkways stretching out over a perfectly calm sea.
And the caption. The caption is always the same. It's some variation of the Maldives of Europe.
The Maldives of Europe for the price of a ham sandwich. That's the one. It is the viral promise of the year. Albania. Specifically, the Albanian Riviera.
It is an incredibly seductive pitch, isn't it? And it has, it has absolutely flooded our feeds for, what, the last 18 months? It's almost inescapable at this point.
It really is. But there is let's say, a very distinct difference, maybe even a massive chasm, between what the algorithm feeds you on a Tuesday morning commute and what happens when your rubber actually hits the road in the Balkans.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to dig into today.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're taking a huge stack of travel logs. We've got economic breakdowns, even some geotechnical surveys, and just a lot of honest-to-goodness ground reports to answer the big question.
Which is?
Is this the last wild frontier of the Mediterranean, or is it just a chaotic, sprawling construction site that's trying to fake it till it makes it?
I think forensic audit is the right term here. We're going to perform a sort of forensic audit on the Adriatic and the Ionian coastlines. Because, and this is the core warning, if you book that flight to Tirana,
Right,
thinking you've hacked the travel system, that you're getting 5-star luxury for hostel prices and, seamless German-style infrastructure.
which is the promise, right? That's the implicit promise.
It is. But if you believe that, you're setting yourself up for a very, very complex, and I think for many people, a potentially frustrating reality check.
We've got the data on everything. We're going to get into something called the Sunbed Index, which is a fascinating economic indicator.
It's a great proxy for gentrification.
It's perfect. We're also going to talk about the specific dangers of driving a rental car near a herd of goats on a blind mountain corner. But first, we have to talk about timing. Because every single source we looked at is screaming one thing loud and clear.
The clock is ticking.
The clock is absolutely ticking.
It's what sociologists or urban planners might call the gentrification clock. It's a concept. And if you look at the Mediterranean historically, this cycle happens everywhere. It's a predictable pattern.
It's a formula almost.
It is. It happened in the south of France back in the 60s. It happened in Greece in the 80s and 90s. We saw it in Croatia in the early 2000s. Even Tulum in Mexico in the 2010s.
Right.
A place is discovered, it's cheap, it's raw, it has no rules. Then the backpackers come, then the artists, then the infrastructure rushes to catch up. Big capital moves in, prices spike, and the entire character of the place changes, fundamentally.
And Albania is right in that sweet spot, or maybe that danger zone, depending on how you look at it. It feels like we are at minute 59 on that clock.
Precisely. And the post-COVID bounce really accelerated it. Think about it for a second. Italy, Greece, Croatia, they all became incredibly, prohibitively expensive very, very quickly after the pandemic.
Prices just shot up.
Inflation hit, travel demand surged, and suddenly a week in Puglia costs a fortune.
Yeah.
A simple hotel room in Dubrovnik is 300 euros.
It's unsustainable for most people.
So Albania created a vacuum. It became the alternative. But here's the catch. The sources are now indicating that that same inflation has hit the Balkans. Hard.
So it's not as cheap as it was even 2 years ago.
Not at all. That ham sandwich price point is vanishing as we speak.
Wow. So the urgency is real. If you want to see the wild version of this coast, the version everyone was talking about a year or two ago, the sources are basically saying you have to go this year or next year at the absolute latest.
Maybe even just this year. It is currently, I think, the most exciting beach destination in Europe because of that raw, chaotic energy. But that energy is fleeting. We're going to break down the infrastructure collapse, the concrete jungle that is some of the main cities, but also the absolute magic that still exists if you know where to look.
So let's unpack this. Our mission today is to move beyond the influencer reel and find out if the Albanian Riviera is actually worth it for you. Because it's definitely not for everyone, is it?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It requires a very specific type of traveler with a very specific mindset.
Okay, let's start with the basics, geography. Because I think a lot of people just see Albania coast on a map and assume it's all one homogeneous thing. You land, you go to the beach. Simple.
It's not simple at all. And this is genuinely the first mistake people make right at the booking stage. We have to clarify the terminology because marketing teams, they play fast and loose with the word Riviera.
Okay, so break down the map for us. What are we looking at?
So Albania has two very, very distinct coastlines, and they're divided by a massive mountain range. In the north, starting from the border with Montenegro down past the capital, Tirana, and the main port city of Durrës, you have the Adriatic Sea.
Okay, the Adriatic, that's the same sea that touches Venice and Croatia. I know that sea.
Correct, but the Albanian Adriatic is, oh, it's different. It's sandy, which sounds nice on paper.
It does. I prefer sand.
A lot of people do. But the water is shallower, it's a bit darker, often silty because of river runoff. It's fine, it's a beach.
Yeah.
But it is not the place you see in the viral photos.
So if I book a hotel in Durrës thinking I'm going to see 50 feet down into crystal clear water.
You will be very disappointed. You'll have a perfectly acceptable beach holiday, but you will not have the Instagram experience.
So the viral photos, the neon blue, the dramatic cliffs, the little white pebble coves, that is the south. That's the Ionian Sea.
Correct. The Riviera proper, what people really mean when they say the Albanian Riviera, is that southern stretch along the Ionian coast. It starts roughly around the city of Lore and goes all the way down to the Greek border.
And this is where the geology changes completely.
Dramatically. The beaches become pebbly rocks, not sand, which is an important detail we'll come back to. The water gets incredibly deep, very, very close to shore, and the color shifts to that electric, almost radioactive blue.
Why is that? What causes that color?
It's the geology. It's the limestone of the surrounding mountains, which basically just falls straight into the sea. The white rock bottom reflects the light in a very particular way, and the depth gives it that intense color.
Okay, so rule number one is already clear. If you're booking a beach holiday near the capital, Tirana, you're on the Adriatic. If you want the Maldives vibe, you have to go south.
You have to go south. And getting south, that is an adventure in and of itself.
Let's talk about that, the logistics of arrival.
It starts at the airport. The Tirana International Airport experience is often described in our sources as, well, spirited is a polite word.
Chaos and dust. That was a direct quote I saw in one of the travel logs.
That sets the tone perfectly. You land, you walk out of the terminal, and you are immediately hit by a wall of heat, a cloud of cigarette smoke, despite the no smoking signs, and a phalanx of taxi drivers all shouting and offering you rides.
It can be a little overwhelming if you're not ready for it.
Very. And this brings us to the first major logistical hurdle, and arguably the most important decision of your entire trip, the rental car roulette.
Oh, I love this detail in the research. It's so emblematic. You have two choices, apparently.
Two very different paths.
You can go with the major international chains, your Hertz, your Sixt, your Avis. It's safe, it's predictable, but it's expensive.
Very expensive, sometimes double or triple the local price.
Or you go with option two, the local guy on WhatsApp.
Which is a very, very common Balkan business model. It's built on trust and, well, a little bit of hope.
So how does this work? You don't go to a counter.
No, there's no counter. There's no shiny office. You find a number on a travel forum or maybe on Google Maps with a few reviews. You message a guy, let's call him Drylon for the sake of argument.
Okay, drill on.
You message Drylon. You agree on a price, usually around 30 to 40 euros a day. And this is key. It's in cash. And then you arrange to meet him in the airport parking lot.
Just in the parking lot.
Just in the parking lot.
Okay.
He pulls up in a slightly scratched Volkswagen. You hand him a stack of euros. He hands you the keys. You both shake hands. And that's the transaction.
That sounds absolutely terrifying to a standard Western traveler. Is there a contract? Is there insurance? What happens if I break down?
Usually there's a piece of paper. Yes. A very simple contract. And the sources say this actually works surprisingly well most of the time. It requires a certain leap of faith. But this local guy model is the backbone of the entire tourism economy.
What's the pro tip here?
Take photos. Before you drive off, walk around the car and take detailed photos of every single scratch and dent with your phone. That way, there are no arguments when you return it.
Good tip. And cash. Lots of cash up front. But you need the car, right? The sources are absolutely adamant about this. Can't I just take the bus?
You can. The public transport system exists. They're called furgons. These are basically minibuses, often with a handwritten placard in the window indicating the destination.
Sounds charming.
It is, in a way. And they're cheap. But they run on their own schedule, which is to say, whenever the driver feels like it, they stop frequently. They usually have no air conditioning, which is a real factor in August. And crucially,
yes,
they don't get you to the hidden spots. They drop you on the main road at the top of a cliff. If you want to get down to that secluded beach, you need your own wheels. Period.
Even if the traffic is, as one source put it, Darwinian?
Aggressive is a polite way to put it. The driving culture is assertive. It's not malicious. It's just confident.
What's the main rule of the road?
The rule is, if your car's nose is in front, you have the right of way. You have to push your nose out into the roundabout or the intersection. If you wait for someone to politely wave you in, you will be stuck at that intersection until your visa expires.
You have to claim your space.
You have to claim your space. It's a metaphor for the country, really.
Okay, so we've got the car from Drylon. We have our stack of cash. We are driving south from Toronto. Let's talk about the drive itself, because there's a very specific moment where the trip changes from a standard European drive to something epic.
The Ugara Pass. This is the gateway to the Riviera. It's the dividing line.
What's the drive like up to that point?
The highway to Vlori is fine. It's a modern, decent road. You're making good time. But then, just south of Vlori, you start to climb. And you are climbing a massive mountain range.
And the whole environment changes.
Completely. It feels like you've been teleported to the Swiss Alps. Suddenly it's pine trees, it's cool air, you're driving through clouds. The temperature drops about 10 degrees Celsius. You are just winding up and up and up.
And then you crest the top.
And the world drops away. It is one of the most dramatic, breathtaking reveals in all of European travel. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
You are 1,000 meters up, and straight down, almost vertically, is the Ionian Sea.
Wow.
It looked like the edge of the planet. You can see the Greek island of Corfu in the distance. The water is this impossible shade of blue. It's a genuine aha moment.
But then you have to get down.
Yes. Then comes the descent, which is an experience.
How so?
Hairpin turns, lots of them. Sometimes, in certain spots, a distinct lack of guardrails.
Oh, lovely.
You are riding your brakes the entire way down. And as you mentioned in the intro, there's a unique local hazard, the goats.
The goats have the right of way. This is the unofficial but most important rule of the road.
It really is. You will turn a blind corner, maybe going 40 kilometers an hour, and find a herd of 200 goats just standing on the asphalt.
What are they doing there?
Licking the salt off the road, apparently, and just staring at you with zero fear in their eyes. You stop, you wait. You turn off the engine, they are in charge.
It's a perfect metaphor for the country, you said.
I think so. You have this sublime, world-class natural beauty mixed with a very rural agricultural reality, all underpinned by a slightly dangerous developing infrastructure. That's the Albanian Riviera in a nutshell.
Okay, so once you survive the goats and the hairpin turns, you finally hit the coast. And this is where we need to break down the tale of three towns, because if you're just looking at the map, you might see dots, but the vibe, the culture, the price, it changes drastically depending on which pin you drop.
Massively.
We've got Dermi, Himara, and the big one, Saranda. Let's start with Dermi.
Dermi. If you're looking for where the Tirana elite go for the weekend, where the politicians and the pop stars and the, wealthy business people go, it's Dermi.
So it's a cool spot, the see and be seen spot.
It is. The visuals here are very specific. You'll see luxury SUVs, Range Rovers, Mercedes G-Wagons parked on dusty dirt roads right next to the beach.
That's quite a contrast.
It is. You'll find beach clubs playing deep house and techno music at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The infrastructure is very sleek, lots of white minimalist architecture. It's very polished.
This is where you get that water clarity that people talk about, the kind that freaks you out. The sources call it invisible water.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. The water in Dermi and at the nearby Drymaids Beach is so unbelievably clear that the boats look like they are hovering in midair. You can see their shadows on the seabed, 30 feet below.
You can see sea urchins from the surface.
Easily. It's absolutely spectacular from a natural standpoint.
But there is a downside to the Dermi vibe, according to the reports.
The downside is that it feels less Albanian. It feels like a purpose-built resort town that you could find in Ibiza or Mykonos. The prices certainly look suspiciously like Italy.
So it's more expensive.
Significantly. And it feels a little less authentic. It's a beautiful but somewhat sterile bubble.
Which brings us to Himara. Now, reading through all the reports and travelogues, Himara seems to be the darling of the experienced travelers. It's the Goldilocks zone.
That's the perfect term for it. It is the balance point of the whole Riviera. It has all the tourism infrastructure you need, good hotels, great restaurants, gelato shops, tour operators. But
it still feels like a real town.
It still feels like a functioning community. It has a year-round population. The key imagery here, the thing that makes it feel so different from Dermi, is seeing grandpas sitting in the cafes drinking raki which is the very, very strong local grape brandy at 9 in the morning,
A local tradition.
right next to kids playing soccer in the town square, right next to tourists licking their ice cream cones. It's all mixed together.
It's lived in. It's not just a stage set for Instagram.
Exactly. It works because it balances the influx of foreigners with actual, tangible local life. You don't feel like you're in a segregated tourist zone. And the food is incredible because it's catering to locals as well as tourists. They have to keep the quality high.
And then we have Saranda.
Saranda, the big one.
The sources are pretty brutal about Saranda. One source calls it the mistake. Another called it Benidorm with worse plumbing. That's quite an indictment.
It's the location of what I call the hub fallacy.
The hub fallacy. Explain that.
A lot of people, especially first-time visitors, they look at the map, they see Saranda is the biggest city in the south. It has the ferry port from Corfu, so it's easy to get to. And they think, great, this is the hub. I'll book 7 nights here and use it as a base to explore all the famous beaches.
Which sounds logical. So why is that a trap?
It's a trap because Saranda is not a beach escape. It is a dense, loud, chaotic port city. It is a concrete jungle. The sheer density of buildings is overwhelming.
I saw a description of the skyline that stuck with me. It's just cranes everywhere.
It's a perfect visual representation of rapid, unchecked, and often illegal or semi-legal development. You have these brand new glass-fronted Miami-style hotels right next to concrete skeletons from the 2008 financial crisis that were never finished and are now being reclaimed by ivy and nature.
So it's loud, it's congested.
And it's hot. The heat just radiates off all that concrete. There's very little green space.
And the traffic bottleneck is the real killer for the hub strategy.
This is the practical issue that ruins people's holidays. If you're staying in Saranda but you want to go to the famous beaches like Ksamil or Pullabarda, you're looking at a 15-kilometer drive?
Sounds easy enough.
It should be. But because there's only one narrow road in and out, that 15 kilometers can take 90 minutes in August, each way.
90 minutes to go 15 kilometers.
Yes. You spend your holiday looking at the bumper of a Mercedes from Germany, inhaling exhaust fumes, not looking at the ocean.
So the strategic advice right off the bat is pretty clear. Don't base yourself in Saranda if you want a relaxing beach trip.
Precisely. You can visit for the evening. It has a lovely evening promenade, the Zero, where everyone comes out to walk at sunset. Go for that, have a nice dinner, but sleep elsewhere. Sleep in Himara or a smaller village like Ksamil.
Okay, let's get to the nitty-gritty, the part everyone wants to know about, the money. This is the budget versus value segment. The myth is that Albania is cheap. So, is it? Or is that 2019 news?
The answer is, it depends entirely on who you are as a traveler. The economic spectrum is widening very, very quickly. It used to be cheap for everyone, now it's tiered.
So let's break down that ladder. Let's start with accommodation.
Okay, if you are a backpacker, 20-something on a tight budget, the answer is a resounding, deafening yes. It is still a paradise.
How cheap are we talking?
Hostels are still an absolute steal. We're talking 15 to 25 euros a night for a dorm bed. And these aren't dingy basements. They are often brand new, super clean, run by young, enthusiastic locals who want to show off their country.
And they offer more than just a bed.
A lot more. They organize tours, family-style dinners, hiking trips. The social scene is incredible.
That's unbeatable value in Europe right now. You can't find that in Spain or Italy for that price.
No, absolutely not. You'd be lucky to get a coffee and a pastry for that.
Yeah.
But as you move up the ladder, the value proposition gets shaky. This is what one source called the mid-range squeeze.
Okay, explain the squeeze.
This is for a standard hotel room. Something that would be a basic, a 3-star Ibis or Holiday Inn style place in Western Europe. That is now costing between 80 and 120 euros a night in the high season.
And what's the quality like for that price?
It's inconsistent. That's the key word. You might get a great room with a sea view, or you might get a room where the air conditioning drips on the bed, the walls are paper thin, and you can hear your neighbor's entire conversation.
It's a gamble.
It's a gamble. And then you have the top tier, the luxury trap.
The trap sounds ominous.
In places like Dermi or Ksamil, you can now pay 200, 300, even 400 euros a night for a boutique hotel.
That's serious money. That's Greek island money.
It is. But often, the service culture has not caught up to the price tag. You might have a room with a gold faucet and a velvet headboard.
It looks good in the photos.
It looks amazing on Booking.com, but the water pressure is a trickle, the Wi-Fi only works if you stand in the hallway, and the person at the front desk doesn't know how to call a taxi for you.
So you're paying for the aesthetic, not for the operations or the service.
Exactly. You are paying for how the room looks in a photo, not how it functions as a comfortable living space.
Okay, but now for food economics. This seems to be the one area where Albania redeems itself completely. This is where the cheap myth is still, for the most part, a reality.
Yes, if you eat local, you eat like a king for pennies. It's fantastic.
Tell me about the byrek. It's mentioned in every single report.
The byrek is the fuel of the Balkans. It's a glorious, flaky phyllo dough pie. It's usually filled with spinach or a salty white cheese or sometimes minced meat. It's greasy in the absolute best way possible.
And the Christ.
You can get a huge lunch-sized portion for €1, maybe less in a small town.
€1? That's incredible.
You grab a byrek and a very traditional, distinctively salty yogurt drink called dali, and you have a perfect lunch for under €2.
What about a proper sit-down meal?
A Greek salad, which they just call salad or village salad, is a mountain of fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, olives, and a giant slab of white cheese. That'll send you back €4 or €5.
And pasta. I hear the Italian influence is strong.
Very strong. You can get an excellent plate of pasta for €6 to €8 pretty much anywhere. You can eat incredibly, incredibly well for very little money.
But there's always a but. There's a trap here, too. The infamous fish trap. I've heard horror stories about this.
Ah, yes. The classic market price ambush. It happens at seaside restaurants all over the Mediterranean, but it's particularly common here.
Walk me through it. How does it happen?
It happens like this. You're at a nice seaside restaurant, the sun is setting, the waiter is charming. He says, "We have a wonderful fresh catch today, sea bream, sea bass." He brings the raw fish out on a silver platter to show you. Its eyes are clear, it looks great.
You're impressed. You feel special.
You feel like a VIP, you nod, you say, "Yes, that one looks perfect." He smiles, takes it away to be grilled.
And then the bill comes.
And the bill comes, and it's 40, 50, maybe even €60 for that one single fish. And your jaw hits the floor.
Ouch. What happened?
It's sold by weight, usually per 100 grams, and you didn't ask the price per kilo, or, more importantly, how much that specific fish weighed. It's a classic rookie mistake, but it catches people out constantly.
So the simple solution is just to ask.
Always. You have to be direct. Point to the fish and ask, how much is this specific fish? Get them to weigh it in front of you and tell you the final price before they put it on the grill. No surprises.
Good advice. Now, I want to talk about this sunbed index. I love this concept. It seems like a perfect microcosm for what's happening to the coast.
It is a great proxy for gentrification, inflation, and the creep of exclusivity. It tells you everything you need to know about a particular beach.
So in Albania, the beaches are technically public property, right?
In theory, yes. But the practice is that private businesses, hotels, restaurants, beach clubs, lease sections of the sand from the municipality and put up their own umbrellas and sunbeds.
And the prices vary wildly.
Wildly. Let's take Ksamil, which markets itself as the most glamorous VIP destination. There, at the high-end clubs like Prince of Potes or Pima Ithati, a set of 2 sunbeds and an umbrella can cost 20, 30. I've seen reports of €50.
€50 just to sit on the beach for the day.
Yes. And sometimes that comes with a minimum spend on food and drinks on top of that.
Wow.
Now, compare that to a more local-feeling beach, like in Himara or Borsh or the village of Kaparo. There, the same setup will cost you €5 to €10 for the entire day.
That's a huge difference. It tells you who the beach is for.
Exactly. It's a class signifier. And then you have the public patches, the free spots.
But those free spots are getting smaller and smaller, aren't they?
They are. They're being squeezed out. As the hotels and beach clubs build out, they claim more and more of the sand. You often have to walk to the far, rocky ends of the beach to find a place to just throw your towel down for free. It's a very contentious issue locally.
So if we were to wrap this all up into daily budgets, let's try and put a concrete number on it for people.
Okay, let's create 3 profiles.
Yeah.
First up, we have the scrapper. This is your classic backpacker.
What's their daily spend?
They can comfortably survive and have a great time on €40 a day.
Oh.
Staying in hostels, eating byrek and supermarket peaches for lunch, taking the local buses, or even hitchhiking, and always using the free public beaches.
That is incredibly cheap for a European beach holiday. You can't do €40 a day in France.
Impossible. You couldn't even rent the sunbed. Okay, next up is the smart traveler. This is probably a couple in their 30s.
And their budget?
They're spending about €90 a day per person.
What does that get them?
That gets them splitting the cost of a rental car. staying in a nice mid-range guest house or private apartment, eating very well at local tavernas, but being careful to avoid the fish trap.
Which, for comparison, 90 euros buys you absolutely nothing in Positano or Mykonos. You'd spend that on lunch and be hungry again by dinner.
Correct. So relative to the rest of the Mediterranean, it is still fantastic value for money.
But then we have the third profile, the baller.
The baller. This person is spending 250 euros a day or more. They're staying in the glass-fronted boutique hotels, ordering the lobster pasta, drinking expensive cocktails at the 50-euro beach clubs.
And what's the verdict on that experience?
The consensus from all our sources is that this is the worst value for money on the entire coast.
That is a fascinating, counterintuitive takeaway. The more you spend, the worse the value gets.
That's a very succinct and accurate way to put it. At 250 a day, you start comparing it to what you could get in Spain or Greece or Italy, and Albania loses on service, on polish, on infrastructure. At 40 euros a day, you compare it to, well, nowhere really. It stands alone as an incredible bargain.
Okay, let's pivot to segment 4, infrastructure and reality checks. We've hinted at this a lot, but we need to talk specifically about Ksamil. Because if you search #Albania on Instagram, 90% of what you see is Ksamil.
It's the poster child.
The images are of pristine white sand, 3 idyllic little islands you can swim to, and a sense of isolation.
The Instagram versus reality gap in Ksamil is probably the widest in the country. It might be the widest in all of Europe. It's a masterclass in clever photography.
So break it down. What is it really like on the ground in July or August?
The marketing promises isolation and natural beauty. The reality is density. Extreme, suffocating density.
And the beaches themselves.
Those beautiful white sand beaches. Many of them are not natural. They are man-made concrete platforms that have been built out over the rocky shore with imported white sand poured over the top.
Really? So it's an artificial environment?
Largely, yes. And because space is at a premium, you are packed in like sardines. The sunbeds are literally touching each other. There is no personal space.
So forget about privacy or a quiet nap.
Absolutely not. And the vibe. It's a theme park. You have loud music from 3 different beach bars all clashing in the air. You'll have reggaeton mixing with Serbian turbo soak, mixing with American pop music. It's a cacophony.
What about the water?
You have jet skis and tour boats buzzing back and forth constantly, which means the water close to shore often has a visible film of oil and smells of gasoline.
That doesn't sound very idyllic.
It feels soulless.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic in a tightly cropped photo where you cut out the 10,000 other people, but the peripheral vision tells a very, very different story.
So Ksamil is a look but don't touch situation. Or maybe a go for an hour, take your photo and leave situation.
The second one, go for the day. See what the fuss is about. Take your photo if you must, but do not expect a zen, relaxing experience.
And this all connects to the broader theme of infrastructure collapse, or maybe infrastructure that was never built in the first place.
It's the classic problem of a developing nation experiencing a tourism boom. The development is outpacing the utility. They are building hotels far faster than they can build sewage systems, water pipes, or power grids to support them.
So you get practical problems like power cuts.
In the peak of August, yes.
Yeah.
The grid gets overloaded by thousands of air conditioning units all turning on at once, and it just shuts down for a few hours.
And waste management. This was a really sad detail in the reports.
It's one of the most heartbreaking aspects of the trip for many people. You're driving through these majestic, world-class mountain passes. The scenery is just stunning. And you look over the guardrail and you see a plastic landslide.
A landslide of trash.
Just thousands of plastic bottles, construction waste, old appliances, all just dumped down the side of the ravine.
That's tough to see. It ruins the illusion of pristine nature.
It does. It's a developing nation struggle.
Yeah.
The municipal services just cannot keep up with the sheer volume of waste being generated by the tourism explosion. And then, of course, there is the plumbing.
The Balkan plumbing rule. We have to mention this.
We have a public service obligation to mention this. Do not flush the toilet paper.
I feel like this needs to be printed on the plane ticket in bold red letters.
It should be. The pipes are narrow, the systems are old, the water pressure can be low. There is a small bin next to every single toilet for a reason. Use it.
What happens if you don't?
If you ignore this because you're Western and civilized, and you think, oh, I'm not putting paper in a bin, you will be the person who clogs the system for the entire guest house. You will be the villain of the hotel. Don't be that person.
Not the legacy you want to leave behind. Okay, let's talk about money and connectivity, practical logistics.
Another classic trap, the credit card assumption. You arrive, You see a Visa and MasterCard sticker on the door of the restaurant, you have a lovely meal, and you assume you're good to go.
But when you go to pay, the machine is broken.
The machine is always broken,
Oh.
magically. Or the power is out, or the internet is down. Or, my favorite, the owner just looks at you with this deep, profound sadness and slowly shakes his head.
Because they want cash. They want to avoid the transaction fees and the tax man.
Exactly. So you need to internalize this. Cash is emperor, specifically the Albanian lek, the local currency. You can use euros in some touristy places, but you will always get a bad exchange rate.
So withdraw leak from an ATM. Any tips on that?
Yes, a very important one. Withdraw from a real bank's ATM. Look for Credens Bank or OTP Bank. Avoid the generic, standalone blue and yellow ATM machines that are just boxes on the street. They charge absolutely massive conversion fees and service charges.
So stick to the banks and carry wads of cash.
You will feel like a drug dealer, but it is absolutely necessary.
And what about for your phone? Roaming.
Do not roam. If you are not on an EU mobile plan, and remember, Albania is not in the EU, so even many EU plans don't include it, roaming will cost you a fortune. You'll get a text message when you land saying, "Welcome to Albania, data is now 10 euros per megabyte."
That will bankrupt you in minutes. So what's the fix?
It's easy and cheap. Buy a local SIM card, go to a Vodafone or a One store. They're everywhere. For about 15 euros, you can get 20 or 30 gigabytes of data for the duration of your trip.
And coverage is good.
It's surprisingly excellent. You'll have fast 4G even on remote beaches. Paradoxically, the 4G is often faster and more reliable than the hotel Wi-Fi.
Okay, let's move to segment 5. Safety. This is a big one because the movie Taken has done a lot of damage to Albania's reputation over the years.
It has. Liam Neeson has a lot to answer for in the Albanian Tourism Board offices. A lot of people have this Hollywood image of the Albanian mafia lurking in every shadow, just waiting to kidnap tourists.
So let's debunk that right now. How safe is it, really?
Violent crime against tourists is virtually non-existent. It is incredibly rare. You are statistically far safer walking down a dark alley in Saranda at 2 in the morning than you are in London, Paris, or New York.
What's the reason for that?
There's a deep cultural code called BESA. It's a concept of social honor, and a core part of it is that guests are to be protected at all costs. Harming a guest brings shame on the whole community.
Okay, but what about the mafia? They do exist.
They exist, of course, but they are interested in high-level international logistics. They're focused on shipping containers in the port of Rotterdam and major construction contracts in Tirana. They do not care about your iPhone or your rental Volkswagen. You are not part of their business model.
So the Taken narrative is a complete myth, but there is a real, tangible danger that tourists face every day.
Road safety. This is the statistic that actually matters. This is the real danger.
This came up over and over and over in the notes.
If you are a pedestrian, you need to fundamentally change your mindset. You have to understand that drivers will not stop for you. In Germany or the UK, a pedestrian crosswalk is like a force field. You step on it, and cars stop.
In Albania.
In Albania, a crosswalk is just some paint on the road. It offers no legal or psychological protection in the mind of the driver. It's merely a suggestion.
So how do you cross the street? You can't just stand there forever.
You have to assert dominance. This is not a joke. You have to step out confidently, make direct eye contact with the approaching driver, and force them to acknowledge your existence and slow down. It's a game of chicken. It's a game of confidence. If you hesitate, they will accelerate.
Okay, that's a crucial piece of advice. What about scams? Are they common?
They exist, but they are generally low-level and opportunistic, not sinister. You've got the taximeter scam. Always negotiate the price up front or insist they tune the meter on because they will often forget.
We've talked about the fresh fish switch.
Right, and the gas station scam. Just make sure the attendant starts the pump at 0. Sometimes they'll try to start pumping from where the previous sale left off. It's standard travel-savvy stuff, nothing to be paranoid about.
And a couple of quick health and comfort notes.
Don't drink the tap water. It's not necessarily poison, but the mineral and bacterial content is very different from what your gut is used to. It will likely upset your stomach. Stick to bottled water. It's cheap.
And the sun.
The sun is brutal. And there is very little natural shade on many of these pebble beaches. Heat stroke is a real and very unpleasant way to ruin your trip. Hydrate constantly.
Okay, we've covered the chaos. We've covered the trash, the traffic, the dodgy plumbing, the cash economy. It sounds a little stressful. Now I want the soul. Because despite all of this, people fall deeply in love with this place. I read reports of people extending their trips by weeks. What are the hidden gems? What's the payoff?
This is it. This is where the effort pays off. If you are willing to walk a little, to drive the bad roads, to push past the chaos, you find actual paradise. Let's talk about Judia Bay Canyon and beach.
G-Jape. This sounds like the anti-Ksamil.
It is the perfect anti-Ksamil.
Yeah, sure.
It is geographically isolated. You can't drive your car down to the beach unless you have a serious 4x4 and a lot of courage.
So how do you get there?
For most people, you have to park at the top of the cliff and hike for about 25 minutes down a beautiful red rock canyon. Or you can take a small boat from the nearby town of Himara. That barrier to entry, that little bit of effort, it filters out 90% of the tourists.
And the reward for that hike.
There's a perfect magic moment described in one of the travel logs. You hike down in the heat, you're sweating, you're dusty, you finally hit the bottom, the canyon opens up onto this stunning beach. You rent a kayak for €5.
Okay.
You paddle for 10 minutes around a small headland away from the main beach where the other hikers are, and you find a tiny hidden cave beach. White pebbles, water that the source described as Gatorade blue, that electric fake-looking blue. And there's no one else there. Just you, the sea, and the cliffs.
That feeling of discovery, that's the prize.
Exactly. That is what Albania still offers that you can no longer find in Italy or France. In Italy, that beach would have a ticket booth, a velvet rope, and a €300 price tag. In Albania, for a bit of sweat, it's yours.
And then there's the human element, the hospitality. We talked about the village of Kiparo.
Upper Kiparo, specifically. So there's the modern beach village down on the coast, and then perched up on the mountain is the old original stone village. It's half abandoned, half restored. It's incredibly beautiful. Cobblestone paths, ancient olive trees, views for miles.
And what happened there?
The source describes just walking through the quiet village and being beckoned into a courtyard by an elderly woman, a grandmother.
Just a random local person.
A total stranger. She spoke no English, they spoke no Albanian, but she gestured for them to sit down. She disappeared into her house and came back out with gliko, this very traditional candied walnut preserve, incredibly sweet, and 2 glasses of cold water from her well.
And she didn't want any money.
Absolutely not. She refused it. She just wanted to host. She just wanted to share something.
Just because.
Just because. That is the old Albania.
Yeah.
That is the soul of the country. That hospitality is deep in the culture. It's getting harder to find in the loud beach clubs of Saranda, but it is absolutely still there in the hills and the small villages. That connection is the real highlight for many people.
That's beautiful. That's the travel gold that we're all really searching for. But let's play devil's advocate. Let's say I'm listening to this and thinking, you know what? The traffic and the plumbing and the game of chicken on the crosswalk, it all sounds like a bit too much stress for my holiday. I want the Balkans, but I don't want the chaos. What are the alternatives? The escape hatches.
We have a few excellent escape hatches. First, you can just go north to Montenegro.
Which one source called the finished option?
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Just north of the Albanian border, you have the Bay of Kotor, which is stunning. It looks like a Scandinavian fjord dropped into the Balkans. It's more expensive than Albania, for sure. But the roads work, the tunnels are lit, the infrastructure is organized. It's an easier, more polished trip. It's Europe light.
Okay, so that's option 1. What's option 2?
Option 2 is to go east to Bulgaria, the Black Sea coast.
Who is this for?
This is if you are strictly on a budget and your main priorities are cheap beer, sandy beaches, and a party atmosphere, go to Sunny Beach or Sozopol. The water isn't as pretty. It's the Black Sea, so it's darker, it's less dramatic than the Ionian, but it's incredibly cheap, it's organized, and it's easy.
And the third option is my favorite. This feels like a real pro-level travel move, the Corfu hack.
This is a brilliant strategy for the hesitant or time-poor traveler. You fly into Corfu, in Greece. Often the flights are cheaper and more plentiful than flying into Tirana because Corfu is a major European holiday hub.
So you start in Greece.
You start in the ease and comfort of the European Union. You spend a few days in Corfu, eat the feta, use the good roads, enjoy the reliable plumbing. Then, when you're ready for an adventure, you go to the port and take the hydrofoil ferry across to Saranda.
How long is that trip? It looks close on the map.
It takes 30 minutes. You can see the houses and buildings of Saranda from the coast of Corfu. They're that close.
You can just pop over?
You pop over, you dip your toe in Albania, you rent a car for 3 days, you drive up to G-Shape, you experience the chaos, you see the breathtaking beauty. If it gets too much, or if the power goes out one too many times, you just retreat back to the comfort of Corfu for your flight home. It's a brilliant, low-risk way to experience the best of both worlds.
I love that. A perfect strategy. Okay, it's judgment time. We've gone through the geography, the money, the infrastructure, the dangers, and the hidden gems. Let's get to the final verdict. Let's look at the verdict matrix. Who should actually book a flight and go to the Albanian Riviera right now?
Let's break it down by traveler profile. First up, the backpacker, the solo traveler, the adventurer.
And the verdict is?
Absolutely, yes. Go now. Go immediately. Book the flight while you're listening to this.
Why such a strong recommendation?
Because your money goes incredibly far. The social scene in the hostels is booming. You will meet fascinating people from all over the world. The adventurous, slightly chaotic spirit of the country perfectly matches your travel style. The lack of luxury doesn't bother you. In fact, it adds to the story. Hitchhiking still works. The chaos is part of the fun for you.
Okay. Next profile. The mid-range couple, maybe in their 30s or 40s, looking for a romantic getaway.
For them, it is. Yes, but with conditions.
Big conditions.
3 very important conditions. Rule 1. You must avoid August. It is too hot, too crowded, and too expensive. You will be miserable in traffic. Go in June or September, when it's still beautiful but much calmer.
Rule 2.
You must rent a car. Do not try to do this on public transport. And Rule 3. You must avoid staying in Saranda. Base yourself in Himara or a smaller village like Kaparo or Borsh. If you follow those 3 rules, it will be a stunning, romantic, adventurous trip. If you break those rules, you will fight. A lot.
I believe it. Okay, next up, the family with young kids. I'm talking toddlers, 5-year-olds.
For them, it is a probably no.
That's a hard pass.
I would say so, unless you are a very specific, very adventurous family who is used to roughing it. But for the average family, no. There are virtually no sidewalks in the coastal towns, so strollers are useless. You will be pushing them in the road with the traffic.
That sounds stressful.
Very. The beaches are pebbles, which are hard and hot on little feet. The water gets deep instantly. 1 step and it's over a toddler's head. And frankly, the medical facilities in the south are very basic. If your kid gets a bad ear infection or cuts their foot on a rock, it's going to be a stressful and difficult situation. Go to a family-friendly resort in Turkey or Majorca instead.
And finally, the luxury traveler. The person who is used to the 4 seasons, who values seamless service above all else.
A no. Just a flat no. An emphatic no.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. You will be frustrated every single minute of every single day. You will pay high prices and get inconsistent, often indifferent service. The waiter will forget your wine. The power will go out during your shower. The trash on the side of the beautiful mountain roads will annoy you. The traffic will make you furious. If you want luxury, go to Puglia, go to the French Riviera. Albania isn't ready for you yet, and you aren't ready for Albania. You will just end up writing angry 1-star TripAdvisor reviews.
So when we boil it all down, what does this all mean? What is the spirit of this place?
It means Albania is vibrant, it's raw, it's breathtakingly beautiful, but it is an adventure. It is not a relaxation retreat. It demands something from you. It requires patience, a sense of humor, and a willingness to embrace the chaos.
You have to work for the reward.
You absolutely do. It's type 2 fun sometimes, the kind of fun that's more fun to talk about afterwards. But the reward, that electric blue water, the towering mountains, the Glico and the quiet village, the feeling that you are somewhere real and untamed, is unique in Europe right now.
So, a final summary of the action plan. If you're going, base yourself in Himara, rent the 4x4 from Dry Lawn on WhatsApp, bring water shoes for the pebble beaches.
And bring cash. Lots and lots of cash.
I want to leave our listener with one final thought. We started this whole deep dive with the concept of the gentrification clock.
Yes, ticking away.
If this is the wild frontier right now in this moment, what does it look like in 5 years?
That's the great and slightly tragic paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all want the roads to be fixed. We want the trash to be cleaned up. We want reliable electricity and proper sewage treatment. But the moment that happens,
the prices will double. The local guy on WhatsApp will be replaced by a corporate Hertz office. And the chaos, the very thing that makes it feel so alive, will be paved over and sanitized.
so is the charm in the chaos.
I think it might be.
Will fixing the infrastructure inadvertently destroy the very soul that makes Albania so special right now?
Right.
Will it just become another predictable, interchangeable strip of the Mediterranean?
There's only one way to find out for yourself. You have to go now before that clock strikes 12. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See